Steeler Nation, we are back for another great episode of the one and only The Sick Podcast, Steeler Crazy. I'm going to be joined by Michael Nicastro, Mic'd Up Sports One, my man. And guess what? We have a very, very special guest. The prop queen herself is going to give us those Steeler props for the upcoming season. So stay locked. Let's take it to the end zone, Jimmy.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Harris Smith shields. Flacco. Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Pittsburgh pride all the time here, that's for sure. It's not every day we get to talk a little Steelers and mix in my favorite team, the Pittsburgh Pirates, as well. But we have a perfect guest today to help us do that. She is the prop queen, sports betting host, analyst, MLB Network, NBA TV. Really, she's absolutely everywhere. We are thrilled to welcome in Ariel Epstein. Hello, Ariel.
Hi, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for jumping on. I see the MLB Network home plate looks like behind you there. So obviously we're jumping on to talk a little Steelers props primarily. But I want to get your thoughts on these 2024 Pittsburgh Pirates led by these young starting pitchers. Exciting, right?
So exciting. How about you have two rookies up for Rookie of the Year, Jared Jones and Paul Skeens. Skeens just joins the team within the last month. Has had at least 7 strikeouts in all but one start. Jared Jones, he's up there, top 5 amongst these rookies in strikeouts, ERA. He's even up there with some of the big leaguers that are veterans. It's been a lot of fun. Mitch Keller's a really good ace to have. Martin Perez, he's on the IL, but should get better. But definitely with Skeens and Jared Jones, it's a big step up from, like, no offense, Bailey Falter. But yeah, I think that there's a really bright future ahead with Pittsburgh. O'Neal Cruz, I mean, we can't forget about the one that was the catalyst to all these rookies coming up. I just love that we've seen farm systems really develop players, whether it's Pittsburgh, Baltimore. We've seen young players come up and it's like, okay, we're finally doing something right, whether it's the college level that's doing it because Skeens and Jones just graduated or whether it's the farm systems. It's been fun.
It's so funny how we operate in Pittsburgh and probably every big-time sports town across the globe. Pirates lose a couple of games and the sky is falling, and they win one against the Dodgers last night, and we're going to the World Series. So, Jordan, I know you want to take over and transition into the football team in Pittsburgh a little bit with our betting expert.
Yeah, so I know our viewers will really appreciate this, so I'm just going to rattle some off. So they have the Steelers over/under, it's 7.5 wins.
What do we know about your head coach, Mike Tomlin? He doesn't finish below 500. This would be an abomination to go 7-10. So I would have to take the over of 7.5 wins. You kind of did get a bit better. Russell Wilson at quarterback, Justin Fields, they both have experience in the league, whereas you were dealing with a bunch of young quarterbacks prior. The issue is, of course, at receiver and running the football. Like, are we going to run the football or not? But I do know that I have faith in the defense. I have faith in Mike Tomlin, and defenses do win championships, but they also help you to get above 500. So I would take the over of 7.5.
There you go. That was a great segue into my next one here. I have Russell Wilson over under 20 touchdowns. I want to say he had 26, 27 last year. He has a lot of weapons. George Pickens, you have the 1-2 punch with Najee and Jalen. Just kind of talked about where you see us at there.
The only way Russell Wilson doesn't go over 20.5 touchdowns is if he gets benched and it becomes Justin Fields and there's a flip-flop between the two. Yeah. Wilson did have 26 touchdowns this past season in Denver. The weapons are there. He's a pass-catching back like Jalen Warren. He has a tight end. He has some deep threats. If I had to pick a side, I'd lean over. I just would make bettors be cautious that if you're going to bet some overs on these touchdown props for quarterbacks, maybe look at quarterbacks that aren't in a quarterback competition. It looks like it could be one. Yeah. I wouldn't bet this because I'm nervous about any opportunity. You know, Pittsburgh fans, if Russell Wilson's not getting the job done and the Steelers go 0-4 to start the year, he's getting benched, and it's going to be Justin Fields. And then Justin Fields might lose, and they'll flip-flop back to Russell Wilson. That would be my concern.
Yeah, and we definitely know how Yinzers, that's what we call ourselves here in Pittsburgh. We know how they could be. They'll be out there 0-4 start. They'll be out there lighting the city on fire with pitchforks. So I definitely hear that. So let's talk about on the other side of the ball. TJ Watt, over under 12.5 sacks. I think we all know that he is, according to Mike Tomlin, the best defensive player on the planet. So just tell us about that.
I don't understand how this number's so low. I would take the over
12.5
sacks unless TJ Watt gets hurt, which that's anything in the NFL. Watt's played majority of these seasons to 15 games, and when he does, aside for his rookie year, Watt's gone over 12.5 sacks. Take this over for sure.
There you have it. And then one more, I'll throw it back to Mike. Najee Harris, over under 7.5 rushing touchdowns. And we know that the Steelers, run that 2 running back scheme. So, our guy Jaylen Warren, we did his show. I think I would take the under on that. So tell us where you're at.
I would lean under also on Najee Harris. It's spot on. He's had 7 and 8 touchdowns. I don't like the running back by committee. I don't like that Jaylen Warren was getting a bunch of those red zone snaps. And you also have Cordarrelle Patterson, who's back there now too.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I just would say, potentially under for Najee Harris.
There you
have it. I definitely want to throw out.
Spoken.
Yeah, for sure. And it's important, obviously, at this stage to throw out the caveat that things are fluid, right? Steelers could sign another receiver, which has been talked about a lot, which leads me to another transition to a player that is ascending who we hope can take that next step to become an elite receiver in the National Football League, and that's George Pickens. Last year had a really good year, had Deontay Johnson on his side. Who knows if that'll hurt or help him. 75.5 catches. What is your thought process there?
The 75 catches, I would take all the overs on Pickens. I know this sounds a bit public. He's your number one receiver. Aside from your tight end, Pat Freiermuth, he's trustworthy. And I just don't see anyone else that Russell Wilson would throw to. I was looking at your depth chart today. Van Jefferson, he's no number one. He's barely a number 2. Roman Wilson, not experienced. Quez Watkins in Philly, when he was there, he's a deep threat. Quez Watkins, you could take over 20.5 yards for his longest reception every game. Just don't bet him to have all the catches. So, yes, do I like Pickens to go over receptions? For sure. And I know you'll probably follow it up asking me if I like his receiving yards, which
you do.
I do like the receiving yards more. If you look at the numbers that Pickens has had in the last couple of years, he's closer in 2023 to the receiving yards number at around 1,200 than he was to the catches. The catches was 63, and now he's at 75.5. You said 1,100 receiving yards last year, 1,200 receiving yards this year. I would take the over there because Pickens is your deep threat. He could catch some deep balls. And at least yardage wise, you could pick that up and get 70 out of him per game. Whereas the receptions, you're looking at the targets. Is he going to sometimes reception scares me. So at least I know for a deep threat, I could go receiving yards.
We have got an optimistic Steelers analyst on the show. I love it. We're taking Russell over touchdowns.
Our viewers are going to love this.
Taking over wins, over Pickens, over TJ Watt.
They're running to Vegas.
I would say TJ Watt and Pickens are my favorite. You could take the over wins. I don't hate it because, again, I trust Mike Tomlin to finish above 500. But the Russ one and the Najee bet, I would say stay away.
Stay away. Where can we find you? Tell our viewers.
Fanatic Sportsbook, MLB Network, NBA TV. I'm sure we're going to be doing a lot of stuff at Fanatics come football season too. But MLB Network, I'm always doing stuff with them. And we've been trying to give your Pirates some love. So hopefully we get you guys on the show. Your Pirates
we need it. It's been hard out here for years.
I know. And you guys have the most beautiful stadium in baseball.
Have you been?
Yes, we do.
Ugly. No, I've been dying to. So actually, Robbie, who used to be the sideline reporter for the Pirates, is a good friend of mine. And
no way.
Wow. What a small world.
I could connect you guys.
I'm going to text him today. I'm friends
Oh,
with him.
you
as
know
well.
him.
I
Okay,
already
great.
know him. Yeah.
I worked at AT&T Sports. So
Oh,
I
he's
won't tell
the
you.
best.
Well, you probably already know the Robbie stories. We used to have a good time in Pittsburgh and Mount Washington. Robbie's always a good time
He
and a
keeps
super
begging
good
me
dude.
to come and visit, and I'm
Yeah.
happy for him that he's been doing stuff with the Rangers now.
Texas.
But
Right.
we definitely want to find a weekend that I could come there because I've still never been to the park, and I would love to come.
Would love to get
Best
you there.
ballpark
Well, we
in
got you
America.
here, and that's a great start for us. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys.
See ya. JY, like I said, man, it's early, but I cannot fathom that number. Vegas always seems to have the Steelers with a very low win total, and
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin surpasses it every single year. When will they learn?
Yeah, I mean, I will say this, that's not what I strive to, but it is a great feat, and you can't take that away because again, I always, use this analogy, the Cleveland Browns would die for that statistic, to just have non-losing seasons. But here in Pittsburgh, we want Lombardis. But one thing I will say, and I've been guilty of it, there was times I remember when we were doing the Chris Wormley show, and I shot out a tweet and I said, well, looks like it's going to be Mike Tomlin's first losing season. You remember that? And what it did, it came back and bit me in the butt, and I will never bet against Mike Tomlin again. So yeah, it's great when we have national media on because they're unbiased and like I said, just given all that, the optimism, I'm loving it because I try and be as optimistic as I can. But obviously, we got to start getting some playoff wins here in Pittsburgh, plain and simple, in baseball and in football and in hockey.
They're maybe 2-5 that season we're talking about here, and that was Ben's final go at it, I think, or I could be wrong. That might have been 2 years ago. Pickett's rookie year.
But either way, I mean,
they made the play. They're knocking on the door per usual. So yeah, I mean, they upgrade quarterback, they upgrade O-line, upgrade linebacker. I don't know how in the heck they would be 7-10. Unless the big caveat is always injuries. Always. TJ Watt goes down. Pickens goes down. Who do they throw to right now? She threw out the names Van Jefferson, Quez Watkins, Calvin Austin.
He's just the body. I hope
you got Roman Wilson there.
And you said it too. And I'll say this, and then we'll get to our next topic because it's kind of breaking news. You could say is that. Calvin Austin, everyone, bro, he is what he is. Like, he's a gadget. I don't think that he's going to contribute. And I hope that he does, but I just don't, like you said, at this point, I just think he is what he is. I think he's just a body. Is he capable of, showing a little bit, but I just don't see him as a valuable option moving forward for the Steelers. But here is a option. Welcome back to Pittsburgh, Mr. Cam Sutton. I'll say this, and then I'll throw it to you. I don't think we ever should have got rid of him. I know, whatever went on, that's besides the point. But on the field play, he was stellar for the Steelers. I feel that he was very underrated, and I am happy to see him back, bring back some depth. And, welcome back. That's all I can say about that. So you could go ahead and take it from here.
Yeah, on the field, it's an excellent move. I know he didn't have a great year last year with Detroit, but they had him playing on the outside all season. Mm-hmm. We saw with Pittsburgh that generally his strongest suit was playing in the slot. Now, he did play outside his final year with the Steelers a lot more, and he performed really well, which got him some big bucks in Detroit. So on the field, they desperately needed a slot corner, simply really don't have one. Patrick Peterson is not back, so it's a major pickup on terms of on the field. It's tough to comment on off the field, really, until legal situations play out. I think the important thing to note when talking about off the field is whether or not whether or not the process continues. I know he was, or the case was closed, but if it continues, whether or not, he could still face suspension. That's what I'm trying to say here is that there have been a lot of players who have had cases dropped who have been found not guilty that have still been suspended by the league. Ben Roethlisberger, a perfect example right there. So while he's very good on the field, it's important to still remember that they might need another piece still because he might miss 4 games. And so I would still consider maybe Patrick Peterson returning. So on the field, good pickup. Who knows what happened with the domestic abuse case? Allegedly, I should say, but I think it's more important to note that he could miss games, which, will to be decided, I guess.
Yeah, and like I said, you just got to let it play out. If I'm strictly talking on the field, he's been solid for us in the past, and I think it's a great pickup, and I'm sure that he's going to be happy to be back. You got 2 quarterbacks capable of getting it done. Well, we hope one of the two. So I think that, Steelers, the optimism is high. You just heard it from the prop queen herself. We're ready to rock and roll. Before you know it, preseason will be here, training camp, and Week 1, September, baby. Buckle up.
I have not been a good bettor over the years, so I wanted that prop king title. That's not happening. Not even a prop prince over here. More like a prop peasant.
Hey, that's all right. We all have runs, but you just got to keep chucking away. And then once you get going, you just got to hit out that cash out thing. You get up a little bit.
Tucapito Marcano was chucking away. It never worked for him. I'm definitely not taking the Tucapito Marcano route, even though I love his optimism. He bet on the Buccos every time. That guy had more confidence in that team than anybody who follows them as a decade. Props.
I think
props.
Literally. I think also what's funny too is the Justin Fields is obviously I want to be the starting quarterback. The 4th string quarterback, the practice squad quarterback is going to have the same mentality. I just feel like that, during the slow time, and there is really no slow time. Obviously, we do a Steelers podcast 365 days a year, but this is kind of the slow time in the NFL, and people will just make a mountain out of a molehill. And to me, I don't even know if I said that right. Maybe I did, but
you nailed it.
Okay, there you go. I shouldn't even have questioned myself. But I just feel stop over analyzing stuff. If someone told me I'm going to wake up every day and I'm going to give 110, that's the mentality that you want to have. So for them to say it's a friendly competition, and I just think it's good to have that competition because it's only going to bring out the best. I said that on previous podcasts too, but people will be like, oh my gosh, he's number 2 on the depth chart. Now he's saying that. I'm like, bro, relax. It's the beginning of June. Let it pan out.
It's quiet season. People like clicks. People are bored. We like clicks. Joey Porter Jr. came out a couple weeks ago and said that he is the best cornerback in the league. To your point, what the hell do you want him to say? Do you want him to say, hey guys, I'm the 7th best cornerback in the league? Yeah. No, you're exactly right. Every player in the field should have that mentality because they were the best, most likely, at any other stop in their career. Best in high school, best in college at their position. A lot of these guys, at least in their conference or their own team, I should say. And now they think they're the best in the NFL, which they should have that mindset. If you don't have that mindset, how motivated are you really? How much are you going to improve? And, are you ever going to have that mindset? Because it's not like, the league around them and the players around them is going to change at the snap of a finger. You want them to have that mindset all day.
I got one.
So respect.
Unless you're Chase Claypool.
Unless you're Chase. Nope. I even defended him on that. I defended him full throat. But
I don't know what happened with him.
It was clear he was wrong. But he put it out there. But he
God bless him. Hey, I love the confidence. But yeah, man, that was probably one of the best things that could have happened to the Steelers.
It'd be like us jumping on here and be like, we have the 13th best podcast in Steelerland. Could you imagine people hearing that? Probably at least 12.
You sure? What, did you ever see that? You sure about that? That guy?
You sure about that? Yeah.
But hey,
how could you ever say that? And it's clickbait season, and that's it. Nothing more.
They're here. The prop queen has spoken. Hopefully one day you'll be able to be the prop king, and I'm just Jay York Football. It's been another great episode of the Sick Podcast Steeler Crazy. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to keep rock and rolling with these great analysts, former players, current players, you name it. We're gearing up for the season, and this is the only place to be. The Sick Podcast Steeler Crazy. I am Jay York Football. As I said, next to me is my best friend, Mic'd Up Sports 1. You need Steelers football, you're in the right place. Until next time, Jimmy, take it to the end zone.
Jimmy.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.